So my name is Naomi, and I'm working in a Korean cosmetics company. We're more like a distributor, Korean cosmetics distributor, and I started working in March 2019. So it's about 1 year and 9, 10 months now. About that. So almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's begin with the real interview. Well,
Okay.
okay. Okay. First and foremost, in this interview, I will ask you about the power distance, uncertainty avoidance, collectivism, and spontaneity. Basically, it's how you cooperate or you adapt with the Korean working culture. Okay. So
Mm.
first, okay. Anything to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, like, which major are you from?
Oh, I'm in East Asian Studies.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. I used to have a friend who goes to that major. I think. I think he was that major. His name is Alex. I don't know if you know him.
oh, okay. Maybe he is my super senior.
Yeah, maybe. So probably graduated a long time already.
Okay. Okay. First, my first question: how often, in your experience, are subordinates afraid to contradict to their boss? Which means, how how you experience your anxiety or you're afraid to confront with your boss. Never, seldom, or usually. Can you describe it in details?
Um, Maybe because I'm foreigner, I don't know, but I'm not afraid to contradict my boss because my boss, my big boss, he's like very he likes to approach employees a lot, and one of them is always me because
Okay.
I'm a foreigner, and I think he wants to know a lot of people's opinion on things, and I'm actually not afraid to, um, give him my opinion, but maybe fight back. I would think twice of fighting back, but I would never like, because he's my boss, that I wouldn't say something that is on my mind. Like, I think because my company is more foreign based, like we do our business not in Korea, but we do our business in outside of Korea, which makes us like more open towards you know uh, these kind of things. It's not like the typical Korean company, but there's still a lot of aspects because it's in Korea. So yeah,
Okay.
I would
Um,
say usually not
okay.
not really, sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. During your meetings, can you give your opinions to your bosses, or you just listen whatever your boss assists you?
So the decision is already made,
Okay.
usually. So most of the time the decision is already made. So you can voice out on how you should, move towards this decision. Like you can give suggestions. It's pretty open because our team is made out of, let's see how many people, about 8 people. So usually opinions are actually um, accepted in the meetings. Yeah,
Okay. So that means you can express your view to your boss.
but the result is already there, so you can
Oh,
definitely express. Yeah,
okay.
you can
Uh,
express. Yeah.
So, in the decision making process, do you think it's a top down, bottom up, or the flat horizontal? Means, can you give you your opinions, or your boss can listen to you, or vice versa?
Um, Usually it's more top down. Like the boss would definitely throw us like decisions that he made, and then we would definitely work towards his decisions. So I would say top down.
Okay. How is the relationship between your boss and the subordinate? in your opinion?
Mm, this is a hard one, but actually we have a few bosses. Like we have our CEO and also our CFO and CCO, CTO, and they're all different. They're all pretty much different, but I would like to say um, more. It's it's hard to explain because although they're boss, they come to you often and say, "Oh, have you had lunch?" or "Oh, what do you think about this?"
Oh,
towards me, as a foreigner in the company. So it's really interesting because other people, I guess they, um, how to say, I think it's more of like a equal but higher. I can't explain this, but I'm really bad at explaining this. But they are different in a way that they have friendly relationships with all their subordinates. So they sometimes say, oh, because they're the boss, they can be friendly with all
the
of the people in the
employees.
company, and everyone else would, like, accept, like, oh, have you had lunch, or why did you do this yesterday, or what were you doing last week, and people would usually answer because they're the boss, but I would say friendly. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, in your company, everyone must follow the rules or flexibility is allowed? For instance, level or
Flexibility.
disciplines or clarity or structure. What do you think?
mm, Depending, actually, people will definitely follow the rules, but due to COVID, these rules have been a bit more flexible, especially with our going to work. They've allowed us to go to work flexibility um, between 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So as long as you fill in your hours, like 9 hours,
Oh,
you finish your 9 hours, then you can go home.
oh. So,
Yeah,
it's more flexible during this pandemic lah, right?
yeah. But
Okay.
usually it's pretty strict. I mean, I
Okay.
wish which company wouldn't be strict with their rules, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, for the next questions, it is about you can answer in your opinion, or you can just say strongly agree, or moderate agree, or disagree.
Okay.
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 So, as an employee in this organization, are you often feel stressed or tense in the company?
Mm, I would say most of us would strongly agree that we feel tense or stressed out when we're in the company.
Okay. Uh, do the employee in the organization is hardworking in your view?
Um, Everyone is pretty much very, very hardworking towards their goals, but I mean, there's always some people that are very lucky to find the loophole in the company. So, they, sometimes they go to the toilet for a bit longer, or sometimes they go but our company is trying to fix all these problems. So yeah, I would say that um I would agree.
Okay. So it's hard to find the one who are not hardworking there in the Korean working culture. What do you think?
um in my opinion, if I were to find, I would definitely be able to find. I don't know about others because I can see with my own eye. But yeah, uh, I could find few people who are not, you know, doing their job right.
Okay. So do the colleagues help each other, especially for the newcomer? What do you think?
Because when newcomers come, in Korean culture, in Korean work culture, there's something called 동기, which means that you are in the same level, like 입사 동기. That means, you come in as entry, let me see, what is the word in English?
Okay, just take your time.
So in the Google Translate, it says the same period. So those who come in the same period actually have a strong bond with each other, and usually because they're new together, they would say, "Oh, 우리 입사 동기라서 친해요." That means we're close because we came into the company in the same period, like, you know. So yeah.
Okay. What do you think in the annual performance assessments of staff? Boss give score generously, or is there a bias in giving scores? What do you think?
I don't think they'll be able to give a bias according to scores for the how much you work, because it shows on paper, like how much you earn for the company, or if you write down all the facts that you did for the company. I'm pretty sure that they'll be seen, but yeah, they're not really generous. I wouldn't say they're generous with their bonus or anything, but yeah, they're definitely like more how to say
Okay.
yeah.
So, in your opinion, in your company itself, do the personal opinion is expected, or just the bosses uh, give the votes to predetermine in your group, in your department? What do you think?
But can you repeat again? Sorry.
In your company,
Mhm.
personal opinion is expected, which means one person, one vote, or opinions and votes predetermined by in a group, which means the boss give task to the group, so the group will uh, conduct the task, or is it flexible, one person one task, so you just need your own opinion to done the task? What do you think?
I think it's more of the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In your company, task prevails over relationship, or vice versa? What do you think?
Because Korea, it's a very much like everyone has a relationship with each other, so I wouldn't say there's no relationship aspect in the in terms of work, but um um would say mm, I think the
Okay.
the boss should be more uh,
Consider.
relationship. Yeah, mostly Korean people do their business for, like, with relationships. So those who are doing like, because we source in Korea, so those people who source in Korea usually have to build up a good relationship with their the counterparts.
Okay. So, in the pay or bonus system, it is it based on seniority or your work performance, or both? What do you think?
I would say both.
Okay.
The structure is you would get a piece of a pie, and that pie is given to you by your team leader. So your team leader would get their piece of pie from the HR team. So it's definitely seniority, but how large of the piece of the pie you'll get is also depending on how is your work performance. So I think it's both.
Okay. So I've been searching about the worry words, the worry
Mhm,
concept, which is very important in the in the Korean
mhm.
organizations. What do you think about the worry concept that you apply in the working culture in Korea?
So I actually, maybe because I'm a foreigner, I actually work with a lot of people in my team.
Okay.
So we have a department. My department is the marketing department, and we have about like almost 15 to 20 people in the team in the department, and I work with almost everyone in our department. So I would say that the worry thing is very, very important. And I'm not sure if you know about this in Korean culture. It's called 회식. So
Oh no.
yeah, yeah. So like they try to have it as often as they wanted to, but because of COVID, they're not able to due to like the quarantine rules and everything, and they don't want to be the cause of the spread for the COVID. So it's highly reduced now, which I'm pretty much happy about, because I don't really like to go to those kind of although they don't force you to drink, but I just don't like that kind of place where you have to bond through alcohol.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you said before, the apa, the culture of drinking alcohol is like a basic culture for the foreigners like you to adapt with the Korean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But as I mentioned before this, like our company is actually foreign based, so they're more open towards like these kinds of things. So if you can't drink a lot or you can't drink at all, it doesn't really
Better.
you know affect how you're seen, because yeah, it doesn't really affect, like you say, oh, I'm gonna just drink a little today. And although maybe because I'm foreigner, so I don't really care, but yeah, they don't really say much about it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So basically, in your company, is it is it they use as an achievement oriented? For example, is it they emphasize more in high target or key performance indicator (KPI)? What do you think?
Definitely, they're performance oriented, because actually our company is very, yeah, performance oriented. They shared their actually plans for next year, and they actually got the target for us that they want us to make, like the profit that they want us to make. And it's actually about 160 to 200% higher than the one they're expecting this year. So it's very much high target and KPI oriented. So if you earn more to the company will love you more.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Because I think every company will do the same thing, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So as you say that your company is achievement oriented, so definitely it will be a profit
Profit
oriented also.
oriented, definitely.
Okay, so in a masculinity structure,
Mm-hmm.
do the is it true that few women in the top management and the male staffs have higher chance to get into the higher positions? What do you think?
Personally, I've never experienced this, because a lot of department managers, like we have quite a few departments, and um, there's female top management over there, so we have female department leaders, and definitely depending on how hard you work, and depending on how much like the boss trusts you with like new stuff, it's definitely not it's totally equal to have a chance of promotion for my company.
Okay, yeah,
Mm.
good.
And most of us are actually female, so they have no choice.
Okay. So basically, your colleagues are mostly women.
Yeah, we have men in the company, but yeah, we're more female populated company because we're doing cosmetics, so it makes sense that way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
If you are not in, if you are not, um, Sorry. I've lost my
Nothing,
word.
okay.
So
Take your time.
basically, what brand are you in for the cosmetic line in your company?
Hmm?
What brand do
Brand.
for your company?
So as I said, we're a distribution company, so we actually have a lot of brands and we don't have a homemade brand.
Plastic. Okay.
Yeah. So like all the brands that you probably know, like Innisfree, Etude House, what we have actually more than 100 brands that we carry. So we do B2B and B2C. We have our own website, which is Style Korean, and also our wholesale department that sells to like different retailers, like maybe Hermo,
Oh, yeah.
Winora. Yeah, we actually supply to those kind of
Oh,
companies. Yeah.
interesting. Because I've been using Hermo for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You could probably see a Style Korean section on Hermo as well, where we ship directly from Korea to Malaysia.
Yeah. Okay. We came to the general questions. It is
Mm-hmm.
flexible that you can also just give your opinions or just follow my questionnaire. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think what is the most important values in the Korean organizational culture? What do you think?
Most important value. Mm, I would say performance. It's very much performance oriented. So, depending on how well you do, they're always pushing you to do better than how well you do now.
Okay. So, what do you think that in Korean working culture should the aspect should be more paid attention?
What aspect?
Should
Um,
be paid attention. Maybe there is a lacking in some aspects that you think could improve.
oh, then there's actually a lot that I think they could improve because they're actually very efficient. Um, but because they move too fast, they leave a lot of things like small details that they could, could pick up before they find the final result, and it could be better than the original result. Like there's a lot of times where they're like, do this tomorrow. Then I'm like, why do I have to do this tomorrow? I end up questioning everything, and they don't really like that. So I just end up doing a lot of things faster than I used to do. Like rather than my own pace, I would actually do a lot of, the pali pali culture in Korea. Everything they want it fast, and there's no reason for why they want it to be fast. They just want it to be fast. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So the pali pali culture is so popular in the Korean working culture.
yeah.
Not
It's
only.
not only in the Korean working culture. I think it's like deep down in just normal Korean culture. Like
Oh, okay.
yeah, everything has to be fast. Like I'm so worried if I go back to Malaysia one day, then I'm not
Everything must to be
used to the
fast.
slow. Yeah, everything has to be fast. Like internet has to be fast, delivery has to be fast, like the train has to go fast. Like yeah,
Because Malaysian are not cannot adapt too much with the fast culture. I think because Malaysia just slow culture.
yeah. It's a bit more slower, but because I actually studied here since 2015, so I got my bachelor's degree here. So I'm actually more used towards the Pali Pali culture, and that was actually a big help to me. I think it was a
That's
great
good for
experience.
you.
Yeah, it's good
Very,
for me.
yeah.
So yeah. One more thing is Korean. I think you need Korean in order to express your ideas to your boss. Like if you can't speak Korean, I actually have a colleague that is foreigner, and because she can't really voice out her opinion in Korean, she has been a lot more like neglected when asking for opinions. So I think voicing out is very important. Like as I mentioned, I I always voice out my opinion. And I think most of the part is because I can speak Korean fluently and express what I feel in more detail rather than just saying it in English, and
So,
they would understand better.
when you first come to Korea, are you have the basic Korean language, or when
I
you
actually learned Korean. I learned Korean for 1 year when I was in high school in Malaysia,
oh,
and I didn't expect myself to come to Korea to study and work. I never even imagined. When I was taking Korean class, my friend actually further her studies in Korea because I was the one who was like, let's go learn Korean. So we actually went to learn Korean together. But I stopped after 1 year, and she came to Korea after that. And she was like, why you don't come? Then I'm like, I don't want to study in Korean, and I can't bear to study in Korean because these Korean people have been studying Korean since like what they're born, and I can't compete with them. So I was like thinking, no, I wouldn't go. But then she told me there's like a lot of majors that teach in English. So I enrolled in actually one of the schools that a lot of students come to. It's called Sejong. So a lot of students are actually in Malaysia, from Malaysia, come to my school. And yeah, I studied my major in English, but of course I had Korean friends that I practiced my Korean with, and yeah, I think it's really important to know Korean when working and studying in Korea. It will help you in blending in much better.
okay. So, you don't have a language barrier when you come to Korea, right?
Um, I wouldn't say I have zero language barrier, but I'm like 70 to 80% there most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your spirit for the time being to keep going in this Korean company that you have been working right now, currently working?
Um, I would say the experience, because you wouldn't get this kind of experience in Malaysia, where everything is not as efficient here, and you learn a lot about the whole system and everything. Although it's very different from Malaysia, but I think you can learn a lot of things, like how they do things so fast, like why do they do things so efficiently. It's very much different, I think, with Malaysia. So I think it's something worth learning.
Okay. So, yeah, it's like a one in a million um opportunity for you, right? Because you have the
Yeah.
chance to work in Korea and learn.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very lucky. I actually found this company very suddenly because I actually went for there's a job fair for foreigners here in Korea. So that was really helpful. And I actually went for an interview for another company at the fair. So while I was there, I actually brought a few resumes so that, who knows, I'll meet over there. And the interview with the other company actually wanted me to speak a lot in Malay, but my Malay is really bad because I've never studied formally Malay. I went to an international school and also a Chinese school before that. So I never formally studied Malay. So bahasa Malay tak boleh lah. But yeah, um, like the interview end over there. But I was just walking around, and then they I I was lining up for to inquire about another company, but right opposite, the line was really long, and right opposite there was a lady sitting over there, and then she was like looking for beauty influencer or something like that. Then I'm like, I'm not an influencer, but then we matched eyes, and I'm like, hi. And then um I had a YouTube channel back then, so
Oh,
I was like showing her my YouTube channel and everything.
oh,
And yeah, I gave her my resume, and they contacted me after 2 weeks. But that time I was still in school. Like it was like maybe 2 months before school ended, like formally ended. So they called me for an interview. So I went for the interview, and the first interview was actually with my boss, which is maybe I think that's why he always come up to me and ask for my opinion. But my first interview was actually with my boss, and then they're like, "Oh, so when you can start working?" Then I'm like, "I'm still in school now, so I can't actually come." Then he was like, "Why do you come so early?" And then that was just the end of the interview. So I was like, maybe next time, or maybe there's like another opportunity for me. And then I went back to Malaysia for a holiday, and they contacted me the next day after I arrived, like, "Can you come to work?" And I'm like, "I'm in Malaysia now. I'll go to you once I get back to Korea." And then that's how I started working with them.
Oh,
So right after
so,
I graduated, I started work.
so you are
Yeah.
not
So
planning
really,
to, so you are not planning to work there before?
I
Or
mean, plan I wouldn't say I plan to work here. I was looking for opportunities, but if there wasn't anything for me, then I was like, I can always go back to Malaysia. So I was very lucky to find this company, and I can't believe I'm actually here for almost 2 years now.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Have you been to Korea?
No, I never been there, but I would
So
like
like,
to go there.
yeah, you should visit. Although the food things are actually quite complicated for Muslims, like in 2018, I actually did a project with there's a university project that LG provides for university students. Like, they allow you to research, and I was actually researching halal food in Korea, and there's very, very little halal restaurants here in Korea. Like, there's only 14 officially halal restaurants. So most of the students that I met in my university, the students, they actually cook instead of like going out to eat.
Yeah, because
So
it's difficult to find the halal
yeah,
restaurant.
they either go for seafood or it's totally like
Yeah.
vegetarian. Mm.
Okay.
I mean,
Um,
food thing is a big thing for a lot of people. So yeah,
so currently you are in Seoul or another provinces?
yeah. I'm in Seoul.
Okay.
I'm in Seoul.
Okay.
Yeah,
So for the very last question in this
yeah,
interview,
yeah.
what is your advice for the fresh graduates if they want to work with Korean company? What should they prepare mentally or physically? What do you think?
Prepare to work really, really, really hard. I mean, because you're a foreigner, you have the language advantage more than other people. So I think I use my English more than most of my skills here. Helping out with different people around in our company, and just prepare to work really, really, really hard.